Man, just when you didn't think that it was possible for Maniac Cop to get any more maniacal, Maniac Cop 2 comes around. And by the way, what years were these released? They were both early 80s, right?
Maniac Cop, late
80s?
Maniac Cop was 88.
Okay, sorry.
That's what I said, because 80s, 90s. Technically, Maniac Cop was 1990.
Okay, got it. Okay.
It was probably filmed in like 89, but it was released in
It looks like it was from 82.
That one did look a little dated. They both
look super low budget. But like Sue said, so Maniac Cop 1, the Maniac Cop Part 2, the kind of cool idea that it has is that it kind of picks up right where the first one left off to a degree a little bit, right? For the most part.
They recap the first, or they reshoot the first scene, or just show it again, it in.
They show the ending of Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah.
They show multiple scenes from Part 1 and Part 2.
The prison scene,
They were literally, they show the guy who is the Maniac Cop, how he's brutally beaten and basically left for dead in prison because he's a cop who ends up going to jail. That's what transforms him into the Maniac Cop. So his face is messed up. Spoilers. But anyway, the point is that Maniac Cop Part 2 is really interesting because they have more high-speed chases. They have more kills. They have I feel like they're having more fun with Part 2. It has Robert Davi in it, who's a great actor, who literally is in it, we discovered for no reason. I don't know if you remember that, but basically he's a detective in it.
Well, who's
he comes into the first part of it, and he's working with the girl that Bruce Campbell's with, that other female cop or whatever that survived the first one.
Yes.
I don't want to spoil too much, but within a short amount of time, a lot of people get wiped out who seem like they're going to be central figures in the movie. That's all I'll say.
Yes.
It is campy, it is delightful, it is funny, and it's just one of those weird, random, campy, culty movies that I don't think a lot of people have seen. I don't hear that many people talking about the Maniac Cop series.
No.
I think they've made several of these by now. I don't know how many they made. Most of them straight to video. But check out Maniac Cop 2, Part 2 right after you watch Part 1 if you can, because they're both short and they're both hilarious. And the highlight for me for Part 2, if you remember, was there's a great car chase scene.
Oh, yeah.
It is bonkers. It is great. And again, like Sue said, you're not talking CG or anything. They obviously had no money for that. Yeah. They're slamming cars into each other. They're people are getting murked on the road. It's like, it's super fun.
I mean, I read, unfortunately, there was someone got severely injured in one of those accidents. So it's just they're okay, but it was just that's what happens. They had to go to the hospital.
They're doing some serious stunts.
It was crazy. But what was great is just it's such a offbeat movie. It's so off the wall. And the thing is, unlike Maniac Cop 2, Maniac Cop, the original, Maniac Cop 2, it introduces characters and then they disappear. What the heck? Why were they here?
Yeah.
And then there's other characters that are introduced halfway through the movie, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
There's another. So it's there's the Maniac Cop, and then there's a Richard Romero Night Stalker guy that's murdering prostitutes or strippers.
Right.
And then he's the central character, and then him and the Maniac Cop team up, and then you're like, what? What's going on? And then the Maniac Cop kind of turns good because remember at the end, he's the judge or the warden or whoever.
Up is down, left is right.
He's like, I'll forgive. We'll forgive all your debts, your debt to society, and we'll let you'll be a free man. I'm like, this guy murdered an entire police force in Maniac Cop 1, but we're just gonna wipe that clean.
And he wipes out a ton more cops in Part 2 as well.
Right. It's just oh, okay, what?
It makes no sense, but it is. They're two fun ones that are perfect for Halloween.
Absolutely. To me. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say they're like Sue said, they're shorter. They're pretty quick. It's a quick watch.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of Nightmare Before Christmas. It's one of those where they go by they feel like hour-long movies, honestly. They feel very short. Again, the action's great. The acting's, for the most part, pretty cheesy. The dialogue is pretty cheesy. But some of the stunts and the makeup and some of the effects and stuff are great. You know what I realized last time we watched it, too, is the soundtrack is creepy, too. It actually does have a pretty good soundtrack. But anyway, if you're bored this Halloween season, this October, dude, throw in Part 1. I guarantee you'll have to throw in Part 2 after that because it's so good. But anyway, check them out this Halloween because they are both really fun. I recommend them.
They're fun movies. My only criticism, I mean, there's other criticisms, but my main criticism is more for Maniac Cop 2 is because a lot of the shots are at night. I mean, Maniac Cop has some day shots, because St. Patrick's Day and stuff like that. But I think Maniac Cop 2 didn't have a lot of day shots. They were all night shots.
Yeah, that's true.
So sometimes with night shots with the late 80s, early 90s, 70s movies, since they're just live scene shots with lighting, it's harder to see sometimes what's going on and
Right.
stuff like that. That's my only quick. But other than that, like you said, the car chases, the action, the horror, the scariness, the funniness, the whatever, the campiness of the movie is great.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're trying to watch a movie that probably you haven't heard of or you doesn't get mentioned a lot, Maniac Cop 1 and Maniac Cop 2 should be your double feature this Halloween.
And as long as you don't walk into them thinking you're going to see Schindler's List or Amadeus or anything.
Amadeus, yes.
It's like, these are schlocky, fun B movies, but
Well,
I just don't think they get talked about enough, and they're really fun.
Well, this is the origin of Shawshank Redemption, if you didn't know that. So, yeah.
I guess you could say Maniac Cop was my friend.
I mean, Maniac Cop was Andy Dufresne. I mean, that's why he ended up in prison. That was the deal.
He was deframed.
Gosh. Anyways, happy Halloween, and we'll see you on the next one.
Happy Halloween.